Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome in to the Gramlich and Mac Claim podcast. You just missed it. Mac had the baby on the pod, and then he gave the baby away to Khaki, so the baby didn't make the pod, but she almost made the pod, which was really exciting.
She was close. KG,
Yeah.
Our backgrounds look a little different here. We doing a little midnight burning the oil here? Recording a podcast.
Okay. I don't know. I don't ever know what to do in my office when the sun is down. Because if I turn the light on that's above me, it just looks weird. Mm-hmm. So I just have this light on, my ring light, and then like a lamp.
Right.
So yeah. Midnight's
I have
Taylor's
kind of
version.
I've got this three-pronged fan, just blasting down on my shiny head here.
Okay.
But I will tell you, in those episodes where I'm like looking out, just getting blasted by the sun, this is a nice,
Right.
nice change of scenery here.
Exactly.
But I still do have my blinds open, so like if a neighbor walks by, they're gonna be like, "What the heck is this guy doing? Like playing Call of Duty right now with his big headphones on?"
Didn't he just have a baby? Or if that guy starts chainsawing his shrubs again right outside of your podcast room.
Jim's always going after the freaking hedges, man.
Our guy Jim. Well, the reason, Mac, we're recording this so late at night is because, well, it's not too late, not compared to what we've done in the past. We wanted to wait and do this intro until the college football playoff rankings came out. And of course they did last night, if you're listening here on a Wednesday morning. And we have some ACC teams ranked in this top 25. We still have 5 teams, and we want to break it down. They are as follows. Clemson at 4. Very interesting. North Carolina at 17. Syracuse at 20. Wake at 21. NC State at 22. Not a lot of surprise. Well, we'll talk about the kind of the bottom 4. I think those are kind of where we thought. Clemson at 4. Mac, I was telling you I was a little more worried for Clemson with this committee and even just going forward because we might have 4 one-loss SEC teams, blah, blah, blah. And you said, no, I'm not worried, Kelly. I think you're right, Mac, because I really thought they were going to have Clemson at 5. And the fact that they put them at 4 it says a lot.
Yeah, I think it really just kind of is rewarding Clemson right now for that strength of record. We were watching the show there and they were breaking down kind of where they thought people would be. And, some of the guys just kept saying Clemson's resume as a negative. And I was just scratching my head thinking this is not the league of past. Like you need to catch up a little bit with your readings and see that this is a different ACC, as a whole right now, a la all these teams that we just saw ranked kind of at the back half of the deal. And so to me, it was so confusing because I'm sitting here thinking Clemson almost has one of the better resumes than anybody out there. When you look at 3 ranked wins in the college football playoff or against college football playoff teams, that's the most out of anybody. And so to me, it was just really weird. And so I'm sure it was just a slight mistake, whatever. The one interesting thing is, Brian Ives, our elite producer who was once upon a time one of the best researchers, still a very good researcher. Mm-hmm. He sends us out this kind of stat sheet of all the 25 teams once they're ranked. And, I'm just looking at some of these unit rankings, KG, and it's not what you're used to seeing. It's not from the Clemson Tigers where, offense is normally in the top 10, defense for sure in the top 5. And those guys are 20 and 26 respectively. And that's where you're just kind of like, man, okay, this is, it's interesting. I think Clemson obviously getting better, huge opportunity this weekend. But there was no doubt to me. I figured and kind of knew Clemson would be 4, and that's exactly where they are.
And you are correct, Mac. I thought they would put Michigan above Clemson. I like that they didn't. I don't think Michigan's better than Clemson. And I think they sent a message by saying, Michigan, this is one of the worst non-conference schedules that we've seen from a contender in a long time. Yeah. So you can't really put that out there and then expect to be in the top 4, at least at this point.
And it's fascinating to me, KG, is as I'm going through Twitter and just being a Clemson homer saying, y'all were disrespecting the Tigers for way too long and this and that. I have so many, Big Ten people that I follow, and I was just questioning, why do I follow these people? I'm just tired of this propaganda, and of course you're going to say that, and of course I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And it was funny. So, there was a lot of Big Ten folks that were all over my TL, and I was just sitting there scratching my head like, what am I doing? What is going on here?
Yeah, that's just a mistake, Mac. You can't be doing that.
That's right.
Speaking of the Big Ten, I want to see Illinois and North Carolina in a bowl game. Please give me that. Illinois is at 16. UNC's at 17. They both are like the good teams out of those terrible divisions.
They're the best of the worst. They're the best of the worst.
I think they're both still pretty good teams. But I think the contrast of styles in that potential bowl game would be amazing because Illinois is just run, and UNC wants to score 40. But UNC at 17, Syracuse at 20, Wake 21, NC State 22. Of those four, Mac, what stands out?
You know, I think North Carolina, I thought maybe would be a little bit higher, but I think that just really goes to show that, strength of, resume, strength of schedule, which really the strength of schedule is not terrible. It's in the 80s. The strength of record here, as my eyes are trying to look at this, is right at 14. So maybe, I thought they'd probably be in the top 15. Good. I thought they'd be in the top 15 there. Good thing for them is their schedule sets up nicely. We have plenty of room to grow and to go and beat some really caliber teams on your schedule there. And for me, I think it's interesting for Tar Heel fans to remember that 2015 run, where you have one loss at this same point, in the season, you weren't sniffing this ranking. And so I think that's important that, it's a much better starting point than where you were, and you were square in playoff contention then. So at the end of the day, just win, and crazy things happen. We'll see. That there's a lot of teams in front of you. Good thing is a lot of those teams play each other. So I think UNC can dream really big here, KG. I really do.
They're feeling good.
Yeah, I think that there's some interesting things there. I thought it was a little bit interesting that Syracuse was above Wake Forest. I thought Wake would be kind of the third tier team there in these playoff rankings here. But at the end of the day, they're all like in that bunch together.
They're right there.
Right at 20, 21, and 22. So I don't think there's any argument. I don't think there's any reason to think that those teams shouldn't be there. And I think it shows respect for the league, having those teams ranked. Again, you and I were kind of talking. I was more so saying that, I thought that there was a potential for NC State to fall out because of that performance against a really bad Virginia Tech team, but they didn't. And they're square right here at 22, have a really big opportunity this weekend. So does Wake Forest as those two play each other at home for NC State.
It's hard not to look at specifically Wake and think what could have been if you don't just implode and, as I said off air, throw up all over yourself against Louisville. They would be probably 9 or 10 right now. Yeah. But I'm totally fine with where they put Syracuse, Wake, and NC State. Syracuse beat NC State, so they're above NC State. I'm fine with Syracuse being the highest ranked of the three. Sure. Mac, one thing I'm not okay with.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you.
We're ranking Texas. And you know who we should be ranking? If we're ranking 3-loss teams, by all means, let's rank 3-loss teams. Florida State. Florida State beat the team that this committee has 10th. That's hilarious to me. 10th in their rankings in LSU. Florida State beat them in New Orleans. That wasn't even a neutral field. And yes, Florida State has 3 losses, but to 3 ranked teams here on this list.
Yeah.
Texas has a loss to Texas Tech. And yeah, they played Alabama close. That's probably why they're getting credit here. Maybe. But FSU beat the number 10 team on this list. Yeah. I think FSU should be, if we're ranking 3-loss teams, I really wouldn't advocate for it if I didn't think we were. Sure. But apparently we are.
That's right.
FSU should be ranked, not Texas.
I 100% agree with you. And the good thing is that they might be after this weekend, which is crazy to sit here and think. When I look at that, KG, and I see Texas there, whose best win is Oklahoma, who we all know what Oklahoma's doing this year. And the fact that FSU does have that massive win over LSU at a relatively not neutral site, to me, that's just, it's crazy. It's crazy to look at. So I think at the end of the day, the LSU piece is really weird. Like, that's the one outlier when you kind of look at how is it ranked versus AP versus coaches poll. LSU significantly higher in the college football rankings. Is that to boost Alabama? I don't know. Is it to make it a
Tennessee
bigger deal here for Tennessee?
Boost Tennessee?
I don't know, but here it is. And the good thing is Alabama LSU play this weekend, so that will certainly take shape. There are great games this weekend that are really going to – I mean, this poll is going to look significantly different next Tuesday night when we do this all over again. And one team that might make it look different, NC State. And they just so happen, KG, have a massive game this weekend. It's homecoming. We found out, did not know that before our interview with my man, Grant Gibson, the center for NC State. KG, honestly, this was one of the most fun interviews I think that we have had. Grant was awesome off the top, really fun conversation. So it's Wednesday. We have a great guest. Let's get to it. G, my brother, welcome back to the podcast. Really appreciate you joining us today. Listen, this is a couple of days after Halloween. This is Wednesday. We're recording on Tuesday. I've got to know, did you dress up? What did you do? What was Halloween like for you?
So Halloween for me was kind of like a chill day, you know. Like as a kid, like this was probably one of the best holidays out of the year, just because I would take a big duffel bag and walk around the whole neighborhood and get all the candy. Like I was that kid that made sure that I went to every single house. And from years in the past, like I always knew which houses would have the most candy, so I made sure to mark those out on my trail. But no, this year though, I tried to chill. As a kid though, I think my best costume, like I was 5 years old. I went as Clifford, the big red dog. Yeah. So I went as him, and it's a wild story. So I was 5, and I saw this kid that had on this like scary costume, right? And according to my parents, I ran in place because I was so scared. So that's one of my funny Halloween stories as a kid. Like I used to love it. But now that I'm older, it's just like cool to see like the coaches' kids, you know, like get dressed up and stuff like that. So yes, sir.
That is amazing.
I love Clifford the Big Red Dog. That's hilarious. I can very much see you being him. And I can relate, Grant. I had a very terrifying situation as a young child.
Oh, no.
Where I was a Dalmatian, 101 Dalmatians.
Oh,
my neighbor was Cruella de Vil, and this was still when I didn't understand that Cruella de Vil was not real. So it was a really traumatic night for me.
Listen, I was terrified.
I thought she was going to snatch me.
Yeah, like me, it's like because I was dressed up and I saw this kid who looked like a zombie, and at the age of 5, you don't know what that is. And he had like a good costume. Took off and started running. Well,
You're out of there.
Well, yeah.
Well, you weren't out of there. You were in place, but you were out of there.
Exactly.
That is so
All right,
funny.
how about number one candy? And there's only one right answer here, but give me your top 3. Give me your top 3 Halloween candies.
All right, number 1 is M&M's. That's like my favorite candy. Like I love M&M's.
Interesting.
That's disappointing. Disappointing start.
Like this is gonna sound bad, but like normally during camp, I keep a big bag of them beside my bed just in case it's been a long day. Like I need some M&Ms, man. Like give me some.
I like that.
All right.
My dog wakes up in the middle of the night, grabs the sack of M&Ms, and smacks them down. Okay, I understand.
Like if I'm being honest with you, I got some right here just in case. All right. Number 2 is Kit Kats.
Okay. Okay.
And then number 3 is Twix. Because I can't eat nuts.
Twix are good.
Because I can't eat nuts. So that's part of the reason why. Like I don't know what you like.
Wait, you can't have nuts. Okay, so now this opens up. So your number 1 is some regular plain Jane M&Ms. That's your number 1.
I like the colors. You know what I'm saying? Like that makes me feel like that adds taste.
I'm
Grant,
done, bro.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Hey, look,
can be
this
a
was
little judgy.
This was an awesome interview, Grant. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
Matt, what's number 1? What's number 1?
Reese's, and it's not even close. It's
Reese's are in my top 3.
See, but
he's
I haven't had the chance to try that though, so you can't count me out.
Yeah.
I can't. Yes, I can't. You're right. I can't judge you. That's on me.
You've been deprived.
I can't judge you. All right.
Not his fault.
Before we get serious, I do have one more funny thing that I forgot it was Halloween when I was scripting this out, so you're just gonna have to bear with me. Now we're back on track here. Over the summer, there was an incident that happened, and KG wants just for you to be able to clear the air over this incident that happened over the summer.
Yes. Okay. So I wasn't there. Mac was there. I saw the video. I laughed very hard. I've watched it many times, just on repeat. You and Mac are talking X's and O's. You know, you're trying to break down what you're going to do here, what you're seeing here, and you're snapping the ball to our dear friend and colleague, Kelsey Riggs. You snap the ball, and it, like, destroys her face, right? And Mac tells you, this is not your fault, Grant. Mac tells you, keep going, keep going. Did you realize you had hit her in the face?
I didn't know until like the very end that I hit her in the face. Her lip was busted, and I didn't know that. And so, like when I snapped it, right, because I didn't know that she was that close. But I also kind of don't know how fast I snapped the ball. Like I thought I just tossed the ball back there.
Sure.
But when I looked at it, I was like, okay, that's kind of fast. Like and she was standing like 2 yards behind me, so she really had like no chance to catch it. But it's wild though, because I saw her like 3 weeks ago, and I was just like, "How's your lip doing?" You know, I hope we're all good. Like, I didn't want to have any beef with her. Like, you know, she said that we're all good.
She's holding a grudge. She's never.
I don't
gonna
think
let
Kelsey has beef with anybody, so you're good.
Yeah, she told me that we're all good, so
yeah,
we're definitely good.
I
Thank
will
you for
say,
clearing the air, Grant.
Yeah, I will take full blame. It was my fault for a couple of reasons. Number one, I brought her into the situation. She was
100%.
Innocent bystander, just hanging out, being a good teammate.
She was just watching us, yeah.
She was just watching us. And then I noticed how close she was, but it didn't really register. And I'm like, yo, you need to back up. And then, of course, the incident happens. I'm like, we're going so well, Grant. Just keep going. Do not worry about her.
Because we were having like some very good talks about stuff on the line, like and I didn't know until after, and just kind of the way I am, like I felt bad. I was like, geez, Grant.
So I just wanted you to have the platform to be able to state your case there, and for everyone to know that you are not at any fault at all. So I'm glad we cleared that up.
I'm glad that I had the chance to do that, because I've gotten a lot of comments like, did you mean to do that? I was like, absolutely not. I would never put somebody on purpose.
No chance.
We learned it was all Mac's fault, which we all had that suspicion.
Of course. Typical. Golly. Well, Grant, man, it's been a crazy season, and let's just kind of jump into it from kind of this big view that there's so many things that happen, so much expectation and some injuries, some really key injuries. We'll dive into that a little bit more, but I just wanted to know where's the team right now? What is your mindset as a leader, understanding and knowing that there's still so much more in front of you guys?
Like, I'll be honest with you, the team is in a very good spot. Like we kind of had a tough stretch during October. We went down to Clemson and played a very good team. And that atmosphere was like top notch, and they had it rocking. And, we went in there and we played well in the first half, but then at the halftime, we saw that we made some key mistakes. But like the thing about ACC ball is like you really don't have too much time to kind of sit back and sulk about it. Like you got to get back to work, because literally the next week we have Florida State, who is a very good team. If you guys haven't noticed, I saw the stat last week that they're leading the ACC in rushing. Their defense is good. They're all older guys, so we had to get back to work. And that week, like we went into halftime down by 2 touchdowns. A lot of teams would have just sat back and quit, like, dang, man, we lost this game, we're just going to have to bounce back next week. But we don't really do that. We're kind of like, no, let's keep playing. And then in the third quarter, Devin Leary gets hurt. And, I personally just felt so bad for him, just because I've seen and I know how much work he put in, but also because, it means so much to him. But the thing that I'll say about Devin, and this will carry on into the next few weeks, is just how he led, like even when he's not playing. Like he was hurt in the sling and he's going up and down the sideline like, no, guys, we're going to win this game. It's hard being hurt. And people don't know that, like how hard it is to be on the sideline in the sling, can't do much. But he was cheering us on. And, that meant a lot to the team, but to lose him and to lose a key guy like that hurt. But he's also the guy that wants this team to keep going because he wants us to win. And just to see the way that he's led, even while he's not playing, like just trying to help out guys like MJ and Jack. I mean, that's something that not too many people would do that aren't able to play. He's still around every day. He's in all meetings. He's out there on the field. He's down on the sideline. He's talking to us. That speaks about him and just the type of guy that he is. But this team last week, same thing. I mean, we were down 21-3, and we came back and won. There's no quitting this team, which is why I'm so glad that I'm on this team, just because we do stuff that teams don't just do, but it's because of the love that we have for one another. It's not about the X's and O's. It's like I'm playing for my brother. But yeah, this team is in a good spot. Like MJ came in last week and played well. It's not easy to be a freshman who got here 4 months ago, or 4 to 5 months ago, and lead the team back and play the way that he did. Like he came in and played calm and poised. And I know that everybody on this team has faith in him and what he can do.
And well, that was well said, Grant. And we saw in the Virginia Tech game, you are, at least from the conversations I've had with you, a pretty mild-mannered guy, but football, you can flip that switch. And we saw you kind of getting after your teammates a little bit on the sideline against Virginia Tech. I know you can't repeat probably exactly what you said, but
please don't.
Did you feel like you had to step up a little more and say, look, I'm one of these older guys, like we can't lose this game?
So 2 things, right? So I did say some words on the sideline, right? And I didn't think that anybody knew about it except for everybody on the sideline. So I actually went back home last week to see my mom and dad. So I'm on the way back home, and my mom calls me, and she was like, "I heard that you said some choice words on the sideline."
Oh, no.
Oh
I was just like, who told you that, Mom? You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Like,
and hold on real
because,
quick.
you know,
Hey, G, I don't care how big, how strong we get. You don't cuss in front of Mama, and Mama doesn't know that we
Absolutely
cuss
not.
ever.
Absolutely not. So I'm on the phone like mortified, like, oh my gosh, my mom just found out that I cuss. But I don't know, like I just felt like in that moment that we needed like a little spark. So that's what I was trying to get. Like you can ask guys, like I really don't cuss that much. Like I'm always the guy that's smiling and trying to be happy. But I'm like, listen, we can't go out like this. Like we got to do something, and we kind of just clicked together. So like, I'm glad that I stepped up and said something. Though.
It worked. I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
I know, Mama, Grandmama, Grandpa, nobody's happy, but we had to do it. We had to
Coach
do it.
Doran's happy.
Coach Doran's.
Yeah, I was just mortified because I didn't think that my mom would find out about that. But I was like, you know what?
The cameras see all.
Listen, like, yeah, I'm starting to learn that. Like, you can't even do anything and nobody knows about it.
I'm the same way as you, brother. I would be like
That's so
throwing up
funny.
if my mom called me and said, "I heard you said this and that." I'm the same exact way.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of emotions that go into that, and as you said, I mean, y'all are facing or were facing just so much adversity, and you still. I mean, we're going through this season, and there's a lot that's going on, and you mentioned 21-3, and it's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do as a team? And we got a true freshman in. I mean, what was the emotion? What was the headspace as that is happening right now?
Like, I think for us as a team, right, we all knew that we weren't playing up to our standard that we had been getting prepped for the whole week. You know, Virginia Tech is a great team. You know, that they play hard. Like, they have older guys up front, too. Like, that's the thing. Like, when you play teams who have older guys, it's going to be a tough, hard game because the tricks that work on sophomores and freshmen don't work on them. You know, like Virginia Tech's defensive line was very old, and their linebackers were too. Like these are guys that know the game, right? But we're like, listen, we're not executing what we need to do too. That's what we saw when we watched the tape today. The game was like we messed up a lot of mistakes, right? And we were seeing that on the field. So we were like, guys, like we got to stop doing this and play together as a group because as an offense, we all have to just do our job. That's something that Coach Doran and Coach Beck preaches. Just do your job. Like you don't have to do everybody else's job on the line. Just do yours. Just be one of 11. And we saw that during the game that we weren't doing that at first. And that's kind of what we talked about on the sideline. That's kind of what I was saying is like, just do your job, guys, and we'll be fine. But you know, like just having MJ back there, like you guys will be amazed just how calm he was. I mean, like I'm thinking if I'm a QB, true freshman, be like, Coach, and be like, nah, you know. But MJ was like, all right, guys, let's go do it, you know. And it was just cool to see him. Like, it's cool to see guys that you know work hard. I can recall a time during the summer when MJ first got here. I was up at the field doing some work, and MJ comes in. Like, this is his first week on campus. Most guys are just chill, but he came in to throw some balls into the net. Like, I don't know what that thing is called, the little target, but you know what I'm saying. He came to throw some balls in there, and I was kind of like, okay. So you know that he's worked for this moment, but to see him go out and really seize it was really cool to see.
It was really impressive to see a true freshman with that kind of pressure. I mean, knowing that this loss to a Virginia Tech team when your backs are against the wall, you don't have Devin Leary, this loss could probably knock you out of the top 25 and who knows. So there was a lot on his shoulders. What if, and we all knew Devin Leary was going to be the guy and we all hoped he'd be the guy the whole year. So I don't think MJ was really third string. So he didn't really think he was going to play. So what have you seen from him in the last couple weeks where you've gone from, okay, I'm not really seeing any time to I'm now QB1. What have you observed?
Like it's been really key to see just his focus and the way that he talks to us now. You know, like when you're kind of like you know, like it was Devin's team, you know, when it still is, you know what I'm saying? We still all love Devin and we still miss Devin. And, you know, like you can see Devin just trying to pass on his knowledge to MJ and to Jack to make sure that they're both ready. Like Devin is down on the sideline the whole time. He'll come and talk to us and then he'll go talk to the QBs. But you really just seen MJ just trying to take it all in and really just trying to apply what Coach Beck has taught him. Coach Beck does a great job with him, like an extremely good job. Like he's really when it comes to game day, the QBs are prepared 100%. And I think that's something that we've seen as a team is that, that MJ will be ready to go. We just have to do our job to help him make sure that he'll get the job done. Because if the offensive line takes care of him and, everybody else does their job, then, we know that we're putting them in a good spot to have success.
That's awesome, man. That's great to hear about Devin, number one, because you said it sucks, man, when you're hurt and especially being an older guy and it's your team and this was supposed to be a big year, this and that. And then it's just like you feel useless. You feel like you can't do anything. And that's awesome to see his mindset that it's like, no, I've got a lot up here. I've got a lot that I can share wisdom-wise, and I can use my eyes to help these guys on game day. So that's awesome to hear. And I expect nothing less from a man like that. I want to, before we move on to defense real quick, I wanted to ask one more thing about MJ because it's different. And you know this when you come in as a backup and you're the guy versus when you're QB1 and you're the dude and it's your team. Have you seen anything different in practice? Is he more vocal? Is maybe he a little nervous? Is anything like that where you're like, okay, I'm seeing this, maybe I help him out or just anything of that nature?
The thing that I like about the QBs that we have, right? So when Devin was playing, right? So MJ might not get as many reps, right? But on practice, right, you can see him behind Devin like 15 yards back, like going through the plays as he's doing. Like he doesn't have a ball, but he's just trying to go through the motions. He's trying to take mental reps, which many people don't know. Like mental reps are like a key part of this. Like even when you're not in the game, you can still learn. But at practice now, though, he talks a lot more. He's just like, come on, guys, like, because he understands. Everybody's gonna look at the QB. Like we're kind of like, yo, like, what are you doing? But we all look at him, and like he's talking a lot more to us. Guys have faith in him, and he's gonna get this job done for sure.
Well, yeah, great observations there, Grant. And we got to talk a little defense here. Mac and I generally, if you look at our past guests, we have a lot of offensive players on, to be honest. But this defense is balling, and right now they're ranked number one in the ACC. And we know how good these linebackers are. We've talked about them. We've had them on. They've all been at NC State for 17 years, it seems. So when you go against this defense every day in practice, give us a few, maybe outside of those linebackers who we all know. Give us a few more names that you feel like have really stepped up this year.
Corey Durden, Davin Van, Cyrus, Derek Pitt, Shaheem Battle, Tanner. I don't care what anybody says. Tanner Engel is one of the hardest hitting guys on the
great player.
I can tell you stories. This was 2019, like it was a screenplay. I'm getting out on the block. I'm a lead block, right? Tanner Engel comes down like a missile. I was down on the ground and playing for like 2 minutes. And this is Tanner Engel, but that's the thing. He's not scared to hit anybody. Like, he will go hit anybody. I mean, like, the names go on and on and on. Like, but going up every day against Corey Durden and Josh Harris, I mean, I feel prepped on game day because I know that I've been going up against some of the best the whole week.
Right.
But the defense has really done a good job this year. And then, the linebackers, of course, they're going to do their thing. Peyton, Zay, Drake, those guys play well together, so it's been very cool to see the defense just go out there and ball. And, as offense, we're just trying to make sure that we can do the same thing.
It's certainly an added bonus when you feel like Monday through Friday is going to be harder than Saturday. And I think that's the situation that you're in right now. But again, with you having to go against those guys each and every day, and you have for a handful of years now, what makes them so good? Why is that defense one of the best in the ACC year in and year out these last couple of years?
So it's two things, right? So I'll go back to fall camp. First day of camp, they know where the ball's going as soon as we step up to the line. Like, it's just
because they're cheaters, because they get our script and they look at the plays and they know. It takes me off.
So literally, the ball snap, they're all gone. Like, you have to make sure that your steps are on point. Like, you really can't waste any type of movement when you're going up against them, because if you do, then you're going to get beat. But going up against the guys inside, we have guys that are quick and strong, and that's like really a deadly combination. Like, because most guys will either be strong or they might be quick, but some people don't have both. We have guys that have both, which makes it hard to block because you're like, all right, am I going to get a bull rush? Am I going to get a speed move? Like, you just have to be on your game at all times. But the thing is, though, when you go up against players like that, it really does help you get prepped for the season. Just like you said, like today was Tuesday, so this is the hardest day of the week for us, and it is like every week it's complete chaos. But that's what they want to do, so that then that we can go out and have fun on Saturday.
We have another big game for you guys coming up this week. It seems that every week there's a big game in the ACC Atlantic of most places. So another prime time game.
Listen, I like the way that you said that. Though.
Yes, in the Atlantic.
A little asterisk there. In the
a little shade thrown there. If I like that, I like that. A little shade thrown for sure.
Last year of divisions, the Atlantic has definitely done its part. We'll leave it there.
100%.
But another big Atlantic matchup, another night game for you guys. The Huddle, Mac's going to be there. Wanted to get that in there. It's going to be fun.
Nice,
and it's at Carter Finley.
Yes,
it doesn't get much better, right? So, and we'll talk about Wake in a second because I know the game last week was very interesting. But just in general, another night game for you guys. What kind of juice do you get, particularly from that crowd?
So it's a night game. It's homecoming.
Homecoming!
I didn't know it was homecoming.
Oh man,
it's homecoming.
This is awesome! I'm so excited.
Yeah, Wake Forest is an in-state rival. I mean, that's kind of why we came to NC State. You know, like we know guys up here on these teams, and it's like the thing is, when you've been playing here for so long, you've also been playing guys against Wake for a long time too. You know, so like we look forward to games like this. But you know, I think that we have the best fans in the whole ACC. You know, just from the way that they show up, and they're going to be loud, and they're going to be into the game for sure. You know, but we're looking forward to it though. You know, this is a game that we've all had, you know, like that we've all been looking forward to for a long time because we know that they're going to come out here and give us their best, and we're just trying to get prepped to make sure that we can do the same thing.
I was already excited to be back in Carter Finley because that place is lit. Now that it's homecoming, it's going to be nuts. I cannot wait to see that. That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Plus, you haven't seen the lights yet, have you?
No, so I'm jacked up. Dude. I'm jacked up.
Yeah. Like playing at night at NC State is really special. And you know, like we over these past 2 years have gotten a lot more night games. And, you know, like obviously, you know, like we have to wait around the whole day, but by 8 o'clock, like you're ready to go. Like you're like, all right, let's do this. You know, and then you come out and see all the fans. It's really a cool place to play.
Can't wait. I can't wait. Fast forward. Is it Saturday yet? Let's go. Let's get rocking. Let's dive into this matchup a little bit more here, looking at Wake Forest and understanding that they're a bit of a wounded animal walking in here. We know how dangerous that can be, even more so, you know, leaders like yourself and other guys on the team. How do you keep, you know, guys focused, understanding that, you know, last week, that probably was just a fluke. Like, this is a really good team. How do you get them to not think about maybe how Wake Forest lost and instead of, all right, guys, we got to turn up. This is a really good football team.
You know, the thing is, like, you know, when you can't play teams like Wake Forest, right? Like, Wake Forest is a very good team. They're disciplined. They don't make too many mistakes, and they execute well. Like, we went down there last year, and we didn't, and we lost the game. You know, so, like, we kind of have that in the back of our mind. Like, listen, we didn't win last year. Like, we want to make sure that, you know, that we win this year because, you know, like, we kind of all have a bad taste in our mouth from last year. But we kind of, like, last week, you know, like, I mean, it's like we understand that we're going to get their best this week. We know for a fact that they're gonna go back this week and they're gonna practice hard to get prep for us. I can tell you this: they have a very good defensive front. The linebackers, the defensive line, they're all strong players. They're all stout. They're gonna be ready to go. And you know, like nobody on our team is really taking them for granted because we know how good they are, and we've seen it throughout the years. It's kind of like this isn't a team that you can just play with. Like we know that they're gonna come in here ready to go. And, you know, we're going to be ready to go as well.
Can you give us a few keys, Grant, for you guys in this game against Wake?
I think the keys for us, really, like I mentioned it earlier, is just for everybody to do their job, which I know that sounds very broad. But, you know, Coach Norton always says just do your job. You're one of 11. I think that we sometimes try to, you know, be perfect. I fall in that category a lot, you know. But I think the thing for us is that we need to just do our jobs, just execute and just really key in on the small things, but also do what we're coached to do. You know, our coaches have a great game plan for us, and we just need to follow it. And, you know, because they'll put us in the right spots to make the plays. Then when we get on the field, we just have to do it. You know, but I think that we all just need to enjoy the moment and have fun. You know, that's also something else, too, that I've had to learn this past year. Just, you know, like this was a game for us at one point. You know, like don't lose sight of that through it all. You know, so just for us to go out there, and do our jobs. Keen on the small things, and just really execute and have fun. And then I think we'll be fine.
There you go. Easy enough. Gee, this was so much fun, man. Appreciate you being back. Always a great conversation. Good luck this weekend, my man.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Man, Grant Gibson, KG, one of my all-time favorites. Anytime we have an offensive lineman, let's be honest, it's a better episode. We're smart, we're good looking, we can talk ball. It's the way to do it. And really just appreciative of his time. Big shout out to Annabelle making that happen for us. There's a couple things in the interview I do want to address though, KG, because it was interesting to me. His candy list. Now listen, he did put in there that he has an allergic, he's allergic to nuts.
Yeah.
Which means he can't have peanut butter, which means Reese's inevitably cannot be on his number one list.
Right.
But the fact, this even made it more psychotic because he said plain Jane M&Ms were his number one candy in the whole world. Like, I've got issues with that. I've got massive issues, and I think he legitimately should be checked and established for mental sickness or something.
Mac, I think because his palate has never tasted peanut butter.
Okay.
Maybe he's tasted it and then he had an allergic reaction. I don't know. It's just a different palate. I think you have to hold him to a different standard.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
when you haven't tasted peanut butter, and I feel so bad for people that can't have peanut butter. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. It's very hard for these people, Mac. I think we should pray for them, and we should
we should pray for
really just extend our sympathies.
Yeah, I think if anyone listening, if you have a peanut allergy that is as severe as Grant's, where he cannot even look at peanut butter,
we're so
please
sorry.
Comment, tell us whatever. What's your number one candy? And if it's plain M&Ms, I'm disappointed in you too.
Okay,
go ahead.
Let me add this though. Reese's is in my top 3.
Yes, number one.
In my top
it's
3.
Number one, I know. Yeah.
So
number one.
I think at times it has been number one, and
Well, hold
I
on. What do you
stand
mean
by
at times? Like periodically in your
Like
life?
I would say last year. It was, but I stand by this, and this is going to be a controversial take.
Oh, God.
I think that getting COVID changed my taste buds. Like I'm dead serious, because Reese's still tastes really good to me, but it doesn't have the same pop.
What?
This is a controversial take, but I'm serious. And my number one now is, without a doubt, you're going to judge me so hard, but this is the candy I want first.
Oh, God.
Twizzlers. I love Twizzlers. No, don't leave. Justice for Twizzlers. Justice for Twizzlers, people.
Kidding me. Twizzlers.
I love Twizzlers.
What?
All the kinds, especially the strawberry ones that you can like rip off one by one. Oh man, it's the good stuff.
We had a really good run.
The good stuff.
We had a really good run. It was a fun partnership while it lasted.
Blame COVID.
Similar to Grant, me wanting to end it. Do you have an allergy? No, you don't. So this is just you. That's wild. That's probably the worst candy take I've ever heard in my whole life.
Mac, and this is
That's
again,
up there
I think,
with Dan Orlowski with his horrible food takes on Twitter.
I understand that a lot of people will not agree with me. I think you need to throw me into the bucket of people that we're praying for, because I think that COVID changed how I taste peanut butter.
Yeah, that's very disappointing.
It's wild.
Man, this took
and I still like peanut butter. I still eat it all the time, but it just doesn't hit like it used to for me.
This took such a bad turn. I did not expect this from this interview.
Yeah. So anyway.
Wow. Okay.
Let's
talk about the game. I don't want to talk about anything else anymore. I'm so disappointed.
I made you sad.
I'm about to cry over here. Golly, KG. Tell us what the game's happening. Where is the game?
I thought this was a safe space where I can tell you things that are going on in my life.
Me too.
Okay.
I didn't know I
Number
was
20,
dealing
Wake
with two
Forest.
psychopaths. That's crazy.
Number 20, Wake Forest at number 21, NC State. 8 p.m. game on ACC Network. The Huddle crew will be there, so make sure you tune in. Wake is a 4.5-point favorite. Mac, that is really surprising to me. Now, look, Wake should get their credit and everything. We're not trying to take it away, but you're telling me after Wake imploded that they are more of a favorite at Carter Finley versus a ranked team than they were at Louisville? What is Vegas doing?
They knew that somehow, so I guess they know this.
They always know something, but I don't. I'm confused.
I should have brought this up to you on our last episode on Monday, but I think it happened after the fact, so I couldn't ask you about this. How would you describe what happened to Wake Forest, what Louisville did? Is there a couple words?
Well, we want to give Louisville their credit because
absolutely,
they are
absolutely.
the best pass rushing team in the country, and so Louisville got after them. But I do think the first word that comes to mind for me is that Wake Forest imploded. Okay. It was an implosion.
So you wouldn't say they were dominated by Louisville?
Yeah, I mean, that's another way to put it.
There were folks arguing that they weren't dominated. And I was just like, what game were you watching?
No, they were dominated.
Pretty thoroughly. Anyway, all right, let's move on to this one. I was surprised by this too. And especially, there's kind of two reasons I'm surprised. Number one, what you just said, that Wake just had such a bad game and that they were, the setting that they were in, not being successful there. I don't know how you expect that to happen here with this team. The second thing about that is MJ Morris is playing really, really well. I understand if this is a Jack Chambers type team where we're just stagnant, we can't move the ball, we're very one-dimensional, but we saw that young man, play at a super high level against a decent defense in Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. They at least have some athletes out there. So I'm super shocked by this line. There's a couple of things that when I look at this game, we're going to dive in so much more on Friday's episode, but just kind of wanted to do a baseline thing here. I just want to see, how does Wake respond? Where are they mentally?
I'm so intrigued.
Because that was honestly their first adversity that they're facing all year. And you can sit here and say, well, Clemson, they scored almost 50 points. That's not adversity when you can score at that will. This was. Mm-hmm. I mean, they literally couldn't do a thing. There was nothing that they could do, in the second half, really all game long, to win. And so to me, it's like, where mentally are we? Where's Sam Hartman? He's the guy that, has battled so many different, mental things and really sharpened his mind and became this Final Form guy that I didn't think this would ever happen again. Not that all of that was on him at any stretch of the imagination, but at the end of the day, he's a quarterback. It just comes with the position. How is he going to react? How is he going to go out there and change what he's doing? So I'm fascinated from the Wake Forest perspective to see all of that, KG.
The more I think about this, the more I think this Vegas line is an indictment of Virginia Tech because it seems that Vegas doesn't want to give NC State or MJ Morris any credit for beating Virginia Tech. And they're thinking, okay, MJ Morris, you can come in as a freshman where no one really thought you were going to play and beat Virginia Tech, but can you do that against Wake? That's where I think this is coming from. Again, MJ Morris looked so good against Virginia Tech, but we've seen this difference with a guy like DJU when you transform from you've been thrown in there and you're needed to you're the guy, they're game planning for you, even though there's not that much film on MJ Morris, which I think is still a positive for him. So there are some question marks there. And with NC State not really being able to run the ball either, they've been a little one-dimensional offensively. There may be some concerns. But the fact that it's in Carter Finley and this place is going to be packed. I mean, right now I'm definitely leaning NC State plus 4.5. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I should just completely throw out what I saw from Wake and just move on. But if you watch that game, and Mac called it, so he was obviously there. I watched it. It is hard to just forget about what happened. Not because the picks weren't necessarily fluky. The issue was that Wake's offensive line was just opening up a pathway to Sam Hartman. I mean, it was just like, here you go. And Louisville has a great D-line, but so does NC State. Not as great as Louisville, but still very solid. And with some of those, using those linebackers in different blitzes and things like that, I'm worried about that.
That's the last piece that you just kind of mentioned there that I'm interested to see, and again, we'll dive in much more on Friday, is what can NC State take from that game and replicate? Because Louisville blitzes more than anybody in the conference from a percentage standpoint. They lead the country in sacks.
Yeah.
NC State doesn't do that. That's not who they are. But are they going to see that as this worked really well? Maybe we should take a couple pieces from that and try to make it happen. That's going to be fascinating. There's so many games within the game, matchup within the game that you just have to pay attention to and see ultimately what's going to lead to the outcome. I can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to be there. The Huddle crew, as KG, as I shamelessly plugged and made her read in the interview. I can't wait to go. It's such a great environment, and hope those fans really just show up and stay, because Coach, he called them out a little bit.
I think they will.
Got pissed about it, but they left and they weren't there. The team stormed back and got it done. So I think it's going to be nuts. I can't wait to see it. But KG, that's it from us. Another great episode. Super thankful again to Annabelle for getting our guy Grant on here. He did such a great job. Fun to talk with him. But that's it from us. Go over to SiriusXM, download, subscribe, get a part of that. We can be with you on the radio, in your car. We can follow you anywhere. We also need you to go over to YouTube. It's great to see you guys. It's great to interact. We had a really funny episode. You've got to see it. Mash that subscribe button. Those numbers have been really fun to see. And then, of course, the OGs over on Apple Podcasts. Really appreciate you guys. That's it from us. Until next time, we'll see y'all.